Many people ask me why so much of the channel's energy is directed toward South Central Latin America. Well, a couple of reasons. The primary reason is no one else covers it. Not the mainstream media, not even alternative news sources cover the things that are going on down here. The only sources that do cover it in the Spanish language, and most people aren't interested in either using Google Chrome or trying to translate. But it's right in our backyard, and there are some major things going on. Now, very quickly today, we're going to be talking about this presidential election going on in Brazil. And that's right, believe it or not, there's a presidential election going on today. If you watch our media, you wouldn't know about it. Now, just as an aside, those of you who've watched my Antarctica videos, those videos started when we were covering a story on Chile, who had decided to modernize, surprisingly, its Antarctica bases. And literally within a week of that announcement, those bases burned to the ground. Every one of them. And there's still been no explanation for it. But real quick, Brazil. Now, why is Brazil important? Okay, well, number one, if you go to global firepower, right now they're ranked 14th. And they're the second largest, most powerful military in our hemisphere. They're more powerful than Canada, and they're more powerful than Mexico. But they're going to vault even farther next year up because they just purchased an aircraft carrier. And when they do the numbers on global firepower, having an aircraft carrier makes a huge difference. They are going to vault up into the top 10, for sure. In fact, my guess would be, just from having watched this, they'll pass Iran, they'll pass Egypt, they'll pass Italy. They're probably going to be right up here somewhere in the Japan-Turkey area. And I think that would surprise a lot of people. Now, the presidential election. Why it's important. With this issue with Venezuela, it's going to hinge on a lot of things. They're reporting right now that with 90% in, the far-right dictator, Jair Bolsonaro, has 47.2%, and Fernando Haddad, the guy in second, has 27.8%. What they're not telling you is they do their elections down there very differently than we do here. In this first round of voting, if nobody gets 50%, they have a second round with the top two. So when you look at the other 10 people that are running, almost every single one of them is to the left, or meaning their votes would go for Haddad in a second round. And I'm going to go through each one of these guys and show you that that is in fact the case. Now, Fernando Haddad, we've talked about him. His running mate is Manuela Davila, the real kind of model-looking pretty girl who's the communist. The guy in third place right now, Ciro Gomes. Let's go to him real quick. He is, of course, from the Democratic Labor Party. I don't think I have to convince anyone that this 12.5 points right here is going to go to Haddad in the second round. That would make it 47 to 40.5. The next one, Geraldo Alckmin. Once again, the Brazilian Social Democratic Party. Once again, I don't think I have to go into some long, drawn-out explanation of why those votes would go that direction. So, if we take this 12.5, it makes it 40.5. This is about 5 points, so 45.4. This next guy, Amoedo. Okay, now Amoedo is the New Party. Now, New Party is center-right. So, part of that might actually go to Bolsonaro, and part might go to Haddad, given that Bolsonaro is far-right. So, if we would split that, that moves him up to 48 and some change, and this moves him to about 46, 47. So, as you can see, just with what we can show right here, this would make it just with what we can show right here, with these next three candidates, it would make it almost a dead heat. Now, this Cabo Daciolo over here, that's polling 1.2%, he is far right. So pretty much all of his votes would go that way. That would put Bolsonaro really close to 50. But everybody else over here, Morales, Silva, Diaz, Vera, Imael, all of these are all leftist parties. So it's going to be, in the second round, a horse race. Now, what's important here in watching this is not so much the net results, but remember something. This is a country of 200 million people. Look at the numbers that are voting. For example, in our election, our presidential election, it was around 60 million-ish each party. Well, Bolsonaro's getting 46 million. And they have a population about half of what we have. That shows you how involved these people are. It shows you how much they care and how much they turn out to vote. Brazil is not, I know a lot of people, when they look at and they think of South American countries and all of the rhetoric that's been spewed that's completely wrong about them, they think of places they wouldn't want to visit, they don't have anything in common with, and nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, we have, if I wanted to, I could sit and make an hour-long video and show you pictures of downtown Philly, East St. Louis, Detroit, parts of Dallas, Chicago, and you would think that North America was nothing but a drug-riddled war zone. I could make videos all day long showing you that, showing you all the problemed part of our country, and not taking the time to show you all of the good parts. There are places down here that are very wealthy, very well-to-do. Some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Buenos Aires in Argentina at one time had a living standard on par with Manhattan. Now that's Argentina. But the other thing that I want to talk about is Venezuela has the largest known reserves of oil and the fourth largest gold mine in the world. Now, the reason that's relevant is this. When we look at Venezuela and we see this area to the south here that's very sparsely populated and largely unexplored, when you look at Brazil, there's areas here the size of Texas that nobody has set foot in. The amount of resources that could be in Brazil that just haven't been ascertained and nobody's found could dwarf Venezuela's. I mean, absolutely massive, massive regions of this country are largely completely unexplored, unseen by modern man, other than from space like what we're looking at right now. I mean, even if we zoom in here and you look at these regions, there's just nothing out here. And these are huge areas. Areas 3, 4, 5 times the size of the entire state of Florida. That's just solid jungle that nobody's been to. Not in any real way. I mean, you see the stuff on Discovery Channel where you got maybe half a dozen guys and, you know, a few canoes and they go out and they shoot some footage, but it's nothing. So this country is going to play a major role in world events in the next 20 to 25 years. And who's in charge of that country is going to make a big difference. And that's why it's relevant to Americans to know this. To understand that this guy, Bolsonaro, I tell you what, it's a hard thing to explain the difference between the right wing down here and the right wing in North America. The things they believe and the things that they envision for their future. But this guy has talked about at length, this Bolsonaro. Let me bring him up here real quick. How envious he was of the times that his country was controlled by military juntas. And strangely enough, the party that he is, the far right, they call the Social Liberal Party. Now, I know that's completely confusing to Americans, but it's just the way things are perceived differently in South America versus North America. You wouldn't think a guy like this that would be pro-military rule, pro-big business, would be called social liberal. But their term neoliberal means basically let business do whatever business wants to do. Let business be free to completely do whatever it wants without any interference from government at all. So anyway, but mark my words, with the acquisition of that aircraft carrier, the military of Brazil is going to vault into a top 10 power, big player in the world, and they will have something to say about this issue in Venezuela. So we will leave it there. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Just real quick here at the end, we are seeing a lot of folks at the Patreon channel, a lot of folks signing up. The training has continued. If you would like to know what the mainstream media does to distract you from events like this, the techniques they use, we would love to have you as little as $1 a month. And as I've announced, starting on the 27th of October, every single day from the 27th of October to the 4th of January of next year, the Florida Maquis, as a thank you, is going to be giving away a $50 gift card every single day for a grand total of $3,500. And then on the 28th, we're going to have Christmas 2.0. 3 days after Christmas, we are going to draw 3 names, and we're going to issue $500 gift cards to each of those 3 people for a grand total of $5,000 in prizes. So, but you have to sign up at the Florida Maquis. It's free to create an account at Patreon. That doesn't cost anything. If you want to support any channel there, that's totally up to you. Most channels have anything from $1 all the way up to, well, I think the sky's the limit, really, but at my channel, the limit's $20 a month. So anyway, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time.